Browns rookie quarterback Dylan Gabriel is making his NFL debut in London against the Vikings. Old teammates in Carolina, quarterbacks Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, will face off again in the Bucs-Seahawks matchup. And Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels makes his return from injury against the Chargers. Let's get into the full Week 5 slate, which culminates with a Monday Night Football matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars on ESPN. Hey there, welcome everybody to the Week 5 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him back with us tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Week 5 of the NFL season started last night. Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime Video. And boy, oh boy, did we have a 5-star classic and then some last night. The last 2 weeks have been absolutely insane. The last 2 weeks, Seattle and Arizona with a thriller, but last night might have been an even bigger thriller. The San Francisco 49ers defeating the Los Angeles Rams 26-23 in overtime. The 49ers improving to 4-1 on the season. The Rams dropped to 3-2. And next week, the San Francisco 49ers, they got a tough one next week. They got to go to Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers in what looks to be America's game of the week next week. Whereas for the Los Angeles Rams, oh boy, they got to go on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. But we got some big news about the Ravens coming up when we get to that game in a little bit. But the 49ers winning the game 26-23 in overtime. Breaking down the numbers, Mac Jones, 33 of 49, 342 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks. Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries, 57 yards on the ground. Kendrick Bourne, 10 catches and 142 yards. Christian McCaffrey had a receiving touchdown, 8 catches, 82 yards. Jake Tongas, 7 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown. Defense, recording only 1 sack. That was Bryce Huff. And then of course for the Rams, Matthew Stafford, 30 of 47, 389 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Kyron Williams, 14 carries, 65 yards on the ground. Devontae Adams, 5 catches, 88 yards. Puka Nacua, 10 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. Kyron Williams, 8 catches, 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. Defense also recorded 1 total sack, but 2 players had half a sack each. Kobe Turner and Byron Young. But 2 turning points, where just as it looked like the Rams were going to go ahead and take the lead, they missed the extra point, stayed 20-20, and then that clutch defensive play by the 49ers, the forced fumble that sealed the game, as MF and I wrapped up College Football Thursday last night. And I don't know how in the world this 49er team keeps doing what they're doing, with so many of their star players out with injury. Guys like George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Brock Purdy. And yet they are still finding ways to win games, and they're 4-1 without all of these key cogs. And they also lost their best defensive player, Nick Bosa. They lost him for the season, and yet people talk about the heart, the guts, and the resiliency of the Buffalo Bills. Well, what about the San Francisco 49ers? I mean, this team is showing just as much heart and guts and resiliency, despite all these overwhelming circumstances. It's just mind-boggling how this team is doing so well with all these injuries. It's unreal. Tough loss for the Rams. What if they did not miss that extra point? Perhaps we'd be talking about the Rams winning that game last night. wasted an outstanding performance from Matthew Stafford. But the Niners found a way to get it done. 4-1, Rams 3-2. 49ers got to go to Tampa next week. Whereas the Rams, they got to go to Baltimore. And question is, will they have to deal with Lamar Jackson? That's the big question. We'll find that out next week. But nonetheless, great win for the 49ers. Great win. So at the moment, they have, well, actually, I think they are going to hang on to first place in the NFC West, regardless of what Seattle does, because San Francisco already has the tiebreaker over Seattle. Because remember, San Fran went into Seattle week 1 and knocked them off. So regardless of whether Seattle wins or loses against Tampa on Sunday, San Francisco will technically have first place in the NFC West, so that loaded NFC West. So not much more to say here. So MF, come on in. We saw the conclusion of this game after we wrapped up another great edition of TXN Sportsbook College Football Thursday last night. Big win for the 49ers. And again, I have to keep asking, how is this team 4-1 without all of these key guys? It's insane.
Yeah, it's, what it is it's a commitment. They don't give up. They don't surrender. They don't, they don't feel sorry for themselves. They lace up the bootstraps. They dig down deep. This is Kyle Shanahan. This is all Kyle Shanahan. There's no doubt in my mind. This is Shanahan's work. This is Shanahan's commitment of not giving up on the team, even though I know a lot of people thinks that, they had this same issue a year ago. They had the same issue, is that they had all these injuries, all these things, and that torpedoed the team. This time around, again, injuries galore. Juwan Jennings did not play. Brock Purdy did not play. And for, Nick Bosa, you even said it, Anthony, he's lost for the season. And they just figure out it's a next man up mentality. And they just know what they need to do to get the job done. And that's an incredible story, to say the very least. Much respect for the 49ers. Yes, heartbreaker for the Rams. They played a tremendous game. Everything was going their way, but like you said, the two mistakes, the missed PAT, and then the fumble. Oh my goodness, that fumble was so huge. Then there was some second guessing at the end. The 4th-and-1 play in overtime where they run the football and they did not get it. They came up short, and the 49ers won the game. So it's without a doubt an impressive victory, no doubt about it in my mind. Anthony, nothing more to say. Let's get into the Sunday. Well, let's start the Sunday slate with a special start time. We're gonna be burning a little bit. So we're gonna be doing a little early morning NFL action,
just like we did last week. Man, Dublin was something, wasn't it? That
what
Viking
a game!
Steeler.
What a game! What a showdown! And hats off to Dublin, man. You guys really represented. You did really well with that game. And now we go to another great city to do another NFL game on Sunday.
You ready to go to Tottenham Hotspur?
Oh, yeah. Tottenham.
Yes. Kicking off the Sunday slate. Before we get into that, though, let's quickly address, because this is the start of the bye weeks. And we got 4 teams out on bye this week. So for this week, you will not see the Atlanta Falcons, the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. You will not be seeing them this week. Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m., NFL Network from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England. A game that can be seen exclusively on the NFL Network and NFL Plus. The Minnesota Vikings squaring off against the Cleveland Browns from the aforementioned Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Sarah Walsh will be on the call for this one. Sarah Walsh on the sidelines. She's filling in for their regular sideline reporter, Megan O'Leary. So Minnesota opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Series history favors Minnesota 11-5, but Cleveland won the last meeting in 2021. Went into Minnesota and defeated the Vikings 14-7. And this is not the first time they've met in London. They actually played a London game in 2017, and Minnesota won that one 33-16. So with all that being said, let's dive into our first game of the week. The Browns are turning to rookie quarterback Dillon Gabriel in hopes of jumpstarting the league's second lowest scoring offense at 14 points a game. Gabriel's first start comes in a bit of an unusual spot. He will become the first quarterback to make his first start in an international game. But Cleveland believes the third-round pick has prepared well for the moment. Expect the Browns to increase their use of rollouts and RPOs to take advantage of Gabriel's mobility and accuracy. Gabriel knows where to go with the ball. He knows what the coaching staff wants within the offense, wide receiver Jerry Jeudy said. The Vikings spent their week in London sorting through options for an injury-ravaged offensive line, a particularly concerning development given the strength of the Browns' defensive front. At the very least, the Vikings will be without right tackle Brian O'Neill with a right knee, center Ryan Kelly with a concussion, and left guard Donovan Jackson with a left wrist injury. Backup center Michael Juergens with a hamstring sat out practice on Wednesday and Thursday, making him very questionable for Sunday morning's game. In a worst-case scenario, the Vikings could be left with their number 3 center, their number 3 left guard, and their number 2 right tackle against the defense that leads the NFL in pass rush win rate at 56% and run stop win rate 37.7%. The Browns have scored 17 or fewer points in 9 straight games, dating to last season, which is tied for the longest streak in franchise history. The FPI likes Minnesota here, 63% going with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings to win this game as well. I think it's going to be a close one. Cleveland's going to give them fits, like they did to the Packers a couple weeks ago, but I do believe Minnesota should win this one 20-14. Give me Minnesota to defeat Cleveland. So not much more. MF, Minnesota and Cleveland at Tottenham Hotspur to kick off the Sunday slate.
Yeah, and I'm in total agreement with you on this one too. I kind of feel like, Minnesota kind of has figured their way out, and it's going to be a very interesting matchup. Not an easy game, obviously. When you're coming out of a game that's outside of the normal realm, I think that's the best way to say it. It's going to be a little more of an interesting matchup, but I feel like they'll be fun and they'll get the job done. So yeah, I totally am in an agreement here. I think they're going to win this game. So Anthony, let's just move on to the Sunday afternoon slate.
Only 6. We only have 6 1 o'clock games. Just 6. So we're going to start it off with the game that came in as our number 5 game of the week. As it will feature the Houston Texans squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. And on the call for that game, it will be Ian Eagle, J.J. Watt, and Evan Washburn. Houston opening up as a 1.5-point favorite. Baltimore, however, leads the all-time regular season series 11-2. They met the last time they met was Christmas 2020, was last Christmas, when Baltimore went into Houston and absolutely smashed them 31-2 last Christmas. Houston has only won. Well, actually, no, Houston has never won in Baltimore. But there is somewhat of a possibility Because MF, Houston, and Baltimore, no Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is out.
Yep.
Now what?
The hamstring injury that he suffered a week ago. There is possible thoughts that Lamar might be missing at least 2 to 3 games prior to the bye week, and if that's the case, Houston, if there's ever a time for Houston to get them, this is it. You're relying on Cooper Rush as the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, and I can honestly say he did not look good in relief when he got into the game, and it kind of changed the momentum and the trajectory of the Baltimore Ravens this season. They had very high hopes this season, and they got exposed by the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get into the Chiefs a little bit later on, but if there was ever a time, ever a place for Houston to get their 3rd win against the Baltimore Ravens all time, this is it. CJ Stroud must, I repeat, must have a great game. The defense really needs to step up more than anything else. Nick Chubb needs to really start looking like the Nick Chubb that I know, and Nico Collins also needs to step up in this game. If there was ever a time for the Ravens to get got, this is it. Even though they do got Derrick Henry, even though I know they got Zay Flowers, the quarterback position is the biggest problem that I see. And defensively, the Ravens has taken a step back that I've seen in the last few weeks, and they were exposed really bad by Kansas City. I'm calling for the upset. I'm calling for the win. I think the Houston Texans beats the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Final score 23-17. Houston knocks off the Ravens. Anthony, it's yours.
Wow. The Texans know they're going against a foe that they've struggled with. The Ravens have a 13-2 record against Houston, including playoffs. But Texans coach DeMeco Ryan said the past is the past. Whiteout Nico Collins acknowledged the 31-2 blowout loss they suffered last Christmas to Baltimore, but said it's time to turn the page. The Ravens are 3-0 against Texans quarterback CJ Stroud, holding him to an average of 7 points a game. But this is expected to be a much different Baltimore defense Sunday. The Ravens have 6 defensive starters dealing with injuries, including Pro Bowlers in safety Kyle Hamilton with a groin, linebacker Roquan Smith with a hamstring, and cornerback Marlon Humphrey with a calf. With all the new players filling in on defense, outside linebacker Tavius Robinson said it's just about doing a little extra in communication. The Ravens have allowed 35 points in 3 of 4 games this season, tied for the most such games in a season in franchise history. Those 2 seasons being 1996, their first season, and 2021. Even without Lamar Jackson, the FPI is still going with Baltimore. It's not overwhelming, though. It's only 56%. 56% still going with Baltimore to win. And you know me, usually I go with the numbers. I usually do go with the numbers. But after that very compelling argument that MF just made, I'm in agreement. I'm actually going to pull the trigger on this one as well. I'm going to go with Baltimore to win this game as well. Or I should say Houston, rather. I'm sorry. I'm actually going to go. I initially was going to go with Baltimore, but with Lamar Jackson being out, got to go with Houston. So I'm going with Houston to win. And my final score here, I am going to go with, I'll go 20-17. 20-17. Houston steals it in Baltimore. So we'll see what happens there. All right, moving on. We're moving on to the Fox side of the ledger, as it will be MF's team, the Miami Dolphins, squaring off against the Carolina Panthers from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. The game is on Fox, and on the call for that one will be Eric Collins. Eric Collins, along with Mark Schlereth and Jen Hale. I want you all to know that that some of the Fox announcers are going to be doing some swapping here, because two of their lead commentators are going to be stepping away from football for a little bit because of the baseball playoffs. That being Joe Davis and Adam Amin. They're going to be stepping away from football to focus on the baseball playoffs for the next couple of weeks or so. And by the way, division series start tomorrow. And so we're going to see some different looking teams on the Fox side of things for a little bit. And here's one of them. Eric Collins is going to be working with Chris Myers' crew of Mark Schlereth and Jen Hale. But don't worry, you're gonna hear Chris Myers in a little bit. But it's Eric Collins, Mark Schlereth, and Jen Hale. Excuse me. And the spread favors Miami. Miami opening up as a 1.5 point favorite. Miami leads the all-time series 6-2. And the Dolphins have won the last 2 meetings in a row against Carolina, including a 42-21 beatdown in Miami in 2023. However, the last meeting in Charlotte, 2017, Carolina, they smashed Miami 45-21. The Dolphins' last win in Charlotte was in 2009, 24-17. So let's get into the Dolphins and the Panthers. Of course, it was a good news, bad news situation for the Dolphins. Good news is they finally got their first win. They beat the Jets last Monday night. But the bad news is Tyreek Hill, done for the season. But the Dolphins believe they still have a number one receiver in Jalen Waddle, who returns to that unquestioned role in Tyreek Hill's absence. Waddle was Miami's leading receiver as a rookie in 2021. Excuse me, when he caught 104 passes for 1,015 yards and 6 touchdowns. Coach Mike McDaniel said, "The view of Waddle doesn't change despite Hill's injury. I think we've looked at him as a wide receiver 1. I think that it's not necessarily a change from the way we approach it, the way we see it." Panthers coach Dave Canales looks at the rash of injuries that have contributed to a 1-3 record as an opportunity for someone else to step up. Unfortunately for him, nobody has. Perhaps it will be rookie wide receiver Jimmy Horn Jr., who will play for the first time after being a healthy scratch the first 4 games. He brings speed. Or maybe it will be starting wide receiver Xavier Legette, returning after missing 2 games with a hamstring injury, even though he struggled before the injury. There are plenty of opportunities around. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has a total QBR of 19, which is 33rd, and averages 6.3 yards per attempt, 25th when facing zone coverage this season. The Panthers use zone coverage almost 69% of the time, 7th highest rate in the league. Very close FPI, but the FPI gives a slight edge, believe it or not, to Carolina, but it's only 51.3%. 51% going with Carolina. Tough to call, but if I'm going to be honest, I still have to give a slight edge to the Miami Dolphins, even without Tyreek Hill. This could end up being a high-scoring game here. I'm gonna say Miami wins. I'm gonna go 31-28. Miami. Actually, no, back that up. I think it's going to be on that lower scoring side. I'm going to go 23-20, but I'm still going with the Miami Dolphins to win this game. But I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina stole this one. I wouldn't, especially in Charlotte. So 23-20, Miami wins. Not much more to say. MF, you talked about next man up earlier. Well, for your team, it literally is next man up. Tyreek Hill done for the season. I know you're gutted, but it's Jalen Waddle's time now.
It's not only Jalen Waddle's time, but welcome back Cedric Wilson. Cedric Wilson re-signed with the Miami Dolphins during the week. There are some rumors about some other decisions that they want to make, possibly maybe Chris Olave, maybe via trade. There's also rumors about maybe A.J. Brown, because he's been disgruntled in Philadelphia. Maybe he comes to the Miami Dolphins. We don't know. All we know is that whatever the case may be, it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe Miami figured it out. We don't know. Obviously, the Tyreek Hill injury really sucked major. And as a matter of fact, Anthony, earlier today, here's something really miraculous. Tyreek Hill was at the Miami Dolphins practice today. He actually was at practice with the team, just to motivate them, just to say, hey, don't worry, I'm going to be all right, but go out there and win this game on Sunday. Stay focused, stay glued in, remember what our mission is all about, and Anthony, openly and honestly, the next 4 games are all winnable games. They could literally turn this season around. We could be at 5-3 going into the bye week, if everything goes the way it's supposed to go. But there is one danger game coming up, which is the Chargers. That's a danger game for Miami. That could be where they could lose that game. But you got them. You got the Browns. You got, like I said, there are some winnable games. This is the easiest. I honestly believe this is the most easiest schedule. This is the most easiest part of the schedule for the Miami Dolphins. So if Miami wants to make some noise, if they want to at least get themselves back into the wild card picture, because the division looks like it's lost. The division is out of the picture, but wild card is still there. And, it was a nice start with the win over the Jets. If they win this game, this puts them at 2-3. Then let the chips fall where they may, as they say. So, obviously, the Panthers have not looked good. If there was ever a game for Miami to get, this is it. This is the game you want to be locked in and everything else. If Tua has a great game, if Waddle has a great game, not only that, Anthony, what we witnessed was the reemergence and welcome back to the NFL, Darren Waller. He was an instrumental part of the Dolphin victory with 2 touchdowns in the game against the Jets on Monday night. And that is the one thing that even Mike McDaniel was talking about after the game, is that, we're a resilient team. We're perseverance. We got punched in the mouth, but we're responding. This is what the Dolphin fans have been waiting for and hoping to see the whole season, the whole start of the season. Now, the schedule does get a little easier, like I said. And if there was ever a time to win this game, this is it. For me, I gotta go with the Miami Dolphins to win. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF, we move on to our next matchup. Staying on the Fox side of the ledger, the Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And here's where you're going to find Chris Myers. Chris Myers is going to be working with Adam Amin's crew. It will be Chris Myers, Mark Sanchez, and Christina Pink. And Indianapolis opening up as a 7-point favorite. Series history tied at 10-10, regular season-wise. Colts have won the last 2 meetings in a row, including a 23-20 win in Indy 2 years ago in 2023. Raiders' last win over the Colts and in Indianapolis, 2021. also by a score of 23-20. Not much more to say, MF. We got Las Vegas, we got Indianapolis. Vegas, scrappy team, of course.
Yep.
Nearly beat Chicago, but they were going for a walk-off field goal, got blocked. Chicago ripped their hearts out last week. The
Yep.
Colts suffering their first loss at the Rams. So I know outside of Miami, I know how much you love this Colt team. Can they get it right here?
I think they can get it right. It's not going to be an easy game, to say the very least, but I kind of feel like they figured it out. Look, it was a bad loss. There's no doubt about it. But the Raiders also, um, th- the Chicago loss really affected them. But the thing is that this is going to be more about the battle of the running backs. Ashton Genty, the rookie for the Raiders, against Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. I mean, this is going to be a very interesting matchup. This is going to be a lot of fun. At the end of the day, we got to see how it plays out. Obviously, there is a major concern. Brock Bowers for the Raiders is questionable, a knee injury. If he cannot go, of course, Michael Mayer also dealing with a concussion right now. He's in concussion protocol. We don't know what he's going to look like. I kind of feel like Indy should win this game. Even though I do know Daniel Jones, look, he's had a really good season up to this point. Unfortunately, last game, not so much, not a really good performance. He kind of, I want to say in a way, came back down to earth with that loss. But I will say this, Daniel Jones will rebound on this one. And I do believe the Colts will get their win. They'll be 4-1, and they should stay right in that thick of the AFC South. So give me the Colts to win it. Anthony, it's yours.
The offensive line the Raiders' offensive line is coming off its best performance of the season, but it took a big hit in the process. After the unit allowed just 3 pressures while paving the way for rookie running back Ashton Genty to record 138 yards, it lost starting left tackle Colton Miller to a high ankle sprain. Miller's absence is untimely since the Colts are ranked 8th in rushing yards allowed a game at 96. Coach Pete Carroll is confident that backup offensive tackle Stone Stone Forsythe can step up. Carroll said he started 14 games and started on the left side 4 or 5 times, so we're confident that he can do the job. That's why we went after him. Indianapolis has had one of the most efficient offenses this season, ranking 4th in scoring at almost 31 points a game, but that comes in spite of its concerning performance in the red zone, where the Colts have managed to score touchdowns only 47% of the time, 25th in the NFL. They've had a rash of ill-timed penalties when in scoring position, and that has led to difficult down and distance situations. Coach Shane Steichen said, "We've got to get that cleaned up, and it's just fundamentals and technique. We'll address it through practice this week." Colts rookie Tyler Warren leads all tight ends in receiving yards this season at 263, which is the most for the position through 4 career games in the Super Bowl era. The FPI likes Indy. 64% going with the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts to win this game as well. I think they bounce back from that tough loss to the Rams. 34-24. Give me Indianapolis to defeat Las Vegas. And we move on now to, well, our Zonk game of the week. The Zonk game of the week from our side of the ledger. The New York Giants squaring off against the New Orleans Saints from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Andrew Catalan, Charles Davis, Jason McCourty, and A.J. Ross will have the call. And New Orleans opening up as a 2-point favorite. Giants, though, lead the all-time series 17-16, but the Saints have won the last 2 in a row. Last meeting was last year in New York. Saints won 14-11. Ugly game. Last time in the Superdome was the year before, 2023. Saints all over the Giants 24-6. Giants' last overall win and in New Orleans, 2021, a 27-21 overtime win. So now let's get into our Zonk game of the week. Okay. The Giants are pumping in crowd noise and working on communication at practice throughout the week, especially with this being rookie quarterback Jackson Dart's first career road game. But Dart noted he played in the SEC and has played in a dome before. He's not looking at the Superdome as any kind of special challenge. He's more concerned with getting the ball out quicker, getting through his progressions better, and avoiding sacks against the Saints defense that has gotten home on a respectable 10% of dropbacks. Saints tight ends Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill returned to practice this week for the first time since last season, when both sustained serious knee injuries. Though it's unlikely either will play Sunday, Coach Kellen Moore did not rule it out completely. Getting both players back will be a big boost to the offense. With 108 seconds left in the 2024 season, Moreau said, "I got a helmet to the outside of the knee on a 5-step out route, and my off season is canceled. It's brutal, and that part of sports is one of the hardest parts. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I've had a hell of an off season." Giants running back Cam Skattebo has 181 rushing yards and 98 receiving yards through 4 career games. If he has a productive day on Sunday, Skattebo would be the 4th Giants rookie since the 1970 merger, with 200 rushing yards and 100 receiving yards through 5 career games. A slight favorite for New Orleans in the FPI. Just about 54% going with New Orleans. 54%. But if I'm going to be honest with you, I mean, this is tough. I mean, New Orleans almost did the unthinkable, and New Orleans almost stole one in Buffalo. They nearly pulled the upset of the year last week. They nearly did. A game I didn't think I was going to be doing too much sweating during. Well, guess what? I sweated for a good majority of that game. Hard to believe, but it's true. But Buffalo, of course, woke up and got the job done like they do. So, but we'll get to them later. But I'm tempted to go with New Orleans, but I also liked what I saw from the Giants last week. I mean, Jackson Dart, very impressive in his first start. But the big thing is their superstar wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, done for the season. Man, that's gut-wrenching. But if there was ever a chance for New Orleans to get that elusive first win, this could be it. This just might be it. So if Neighbors doesn't get hurt, I probably go with the Giants to win this one. But that Neighbors injury is really, really holding on me. So I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to go with New Orleans to get that first win. 23-20. New Orleans gets the monkey off their back and beats the Giants. So not much more to say. MF, Zonk game of the week. The Giants losing Malik Neighbors for the season. And New Orleans nearly going into Buffalo and almost pulled the upset of the year last week.
Yeah, it was a very interesting matchup, to say the very least. On paper, I was gonna say Giants, but now all of a sudden, now I'm kind of starting to feel like, yeah, I do believe that once this is all said and done, I do believe that it's probably gonna be, I think it's very close. So I'm gonna go with the Saints. Just because of the Malik Neighbors injury. Would I be shocked if the Giants wins? No, absolutely. I think they can win. I got more faith in Jackson Dart than I do with any other team. So give me Jackson. Yeah, give me the Saints to win, but I would not be shocked if they win it. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I think you meant you wouldn't be surprised if the
If
Giants
New
stole it.
York wins it, yeah. If New York wins it, yeah.
Speaking of New York, let's talk about the other New York team. Our second to last early game, the Dallas Cowboys squaring off against the New York Jets from MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. And on the call here, it'll be Jason Benetti and Greg Olson. Jason Benetti sitting in for Joe Davis. He's working with Joe Davis's crew of Greg Olson and Pam Oliver. And it looks like Jamie Erdahl is going to be joining in on the fun as well. So it looks like they're going to have double sideline reporters for this one. Dallas opening up as a 1.5 point favorite. And the series history between the Cowboys and the Jets. Dallas leads it 8-5. Their last meeting, 2023, in Dallas. Dallas won 30-10. MF, you and I should know we had that game.
Yes, we
Dallas
did.
all over the Jets, week 2 of 2023. Last meeting in New York, 2019. Jets winning 24-22. Cowboys' last win at the Jets was in 2003, 17-6. So not much more to say. MF, Jets are winless. We all know that. Dallas coming off of what many are calling the game of the year last Sunday night against Green Bay. That 5-star classic, unfortunately, got marred by a tie, but
Yep.
a rare tie, but still. Dallas and Green Bay. Game of the year, maybe?
I don't want to say game of the year, but I will say this. Does it definitely have a chance to be a game of the year candidate? Abso-freaking-lutely. I think we're gonna have it's gonna be exciting. That's the key thing for me. It's gonna be a great game. I'm very excited for the matchup. Look, Dallas, I kind of feel like they know they let one get away. They know they let one get away. They know they let a lot of mistakes. There was a couple of mistakes for them in that game. The Jets, I don't. Okay, the Jets are good. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Mike, I don't." No, the Jets are actually a good team. They made some mistakes in the game against Miami that they ran the football really well, but they made too many mistakes. Either they shot themselves in the foot with the penalties or they coughed up the football, which, in NFL, it doesn't matter what you do. You lose the football. You cough it up 3 times like the Jets do. That's almost impossible that you most likely are not going to win a game at all. So if the Jets can clean up their messes, they got a shot to beat Dallas. But I think the Cowboys are just better. And I do believe the Cowboys should win this game. So give me Dallas to win it. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. All right. Didn't the Cowboys come off a 40-point performance at home, playing at a winless team just 2 weeks ago? They did, and lost to the Chicago Bears in a listless performance. Now coming off a 40-point performance against the Packers, they faced the winless Jets. In 2019, the Jets were also 0-4 when facing the Cowboys, and Dallas lost 24-22. The Cowboys can't repeat what happened to the Bears or what happened in 2019. Coach Brian Schottenheimer said we're judged on wins. I'd say the consistency's not been there. The thing we've got to do, we've got to learn how to finish and how to win. The gloves are going on literally. On Thursday, Jets coach Aaron Glenn wore a boxing glove during a ball security drill, trying to punch out the ball. The Jets have lost a league-high 6 fumbles, which explains the emphasis in practice. The Jets are a mistake-prone team, -7 turnover differential, and 40 penalties, tied 7th most. They're seeking to avoid their third 0-5 start in the last 30 years. The Jets have allowed 25-plus points in every game this season, the only team in the NFL to do so. Another such game will be tied for the longest streak of allowing 25-plus points in a season in franchise history. The FPI likes Dallas. 64% going with the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this game as well. I'm going to go 30-23. Dallas steals one at MetLife. 30-23. Give me Dallas to win. One last our final 1:00 game. And boy, out of all the 1:00 games, this is easily the most exciting of them all. This is our number 2 game of the week. This could have been our game of the week if you really think about it, but the one we have, I feel a little more compelled to go with that. The other game that we decided to do as our game of the week, but we very easily could have considered this our game of the week. The Denver Broncos squaring off against your reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. Philadelphia opening up as a 4-point favorite. Philadelphia also leads the all-time series 9-5. Phillies won the last 2 meetings in a row. Last meeting 2021 in Denver, Philly winning 30-13. Last meeting in Philadelphia 2017, Philly smashed Denver 51-23. Denver last beat Philly in 2013, a 52-20 beatdown in Denver. Denver has only won in Philadelphia one time, and that was all the way back in 1986, 33-7. Back when John Elway and the boys were running around. So let's get into our number 2 game of the week. Broncos quarterback Bo Nix has had many weekly exams in his time as the starter. And this week, Nix's patience will be tested as much as it ever has against an Eagles defense directed by coordinator Vic Fangio. Fangio, who again has 2 rookie starters on defense, linebacker Jahad Campbell and safety Andrew Makuba, will force Nix to live with the underneath throws. Before last week's win, Nix had not found much success pushing the ball downfield to kickstart the offense. Nix was more settled Monday night with better footwork and more patience. That will be a necessity in this one as well, given Fangio figures to give Nix a steady diet of simulated pressures and coverage looks that morph after the snap. Fangio has been a particular challenge to quarterbacks in the red zone. The Eagles need to get wide receiver A.J. Brown going. He was held to 2 catches for 7 yards on 9 targets last week and created a stir with a cryptic tweet post-game. Brown has been held to 27 or fewer yards in 3 or 4 games. Unsurprisingly, the passing game ranks 31st in the NFL. A.J. Brown said on Wednesday, "I see that we're struggling, and I'm a guy that wants the ball in those times when we can't find a way. Give it to me." The Broncos defense ranks first in QBR at 40.5 and sacks 15, as well as second in pressures at 62. FPI gives the edge to Philadelphia, 61% going with Philadelphia. I'm going with Philadelphia to win this game as well. 27-23, give me Philadelphia to defeat Denver in what should be a very good game on Sunday. So not much more to say. MF, like I said, this could have been our game of the week right here. But I thought by a smidge the other game was a little more compelling than this one was, but still, our number 2 game of the week, Denver and Philly, should be a good one.
Yeah, it should be a good one. I'm with Philadelphia. I just feel like, they could have gotten knocked out at some point, and it was very interesting to see. So yeah, give me Philly. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, ready for the late games, MF?
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. From what I see here, I think we only have 3 of them. No, I'm sorry. We have 4. We got 2 4:05 games on CBS and 2 4:25 games on Fox. So let's get into our first 4:05 game on CBS. This game came in as our number 6 game of the week. The Tennessee Titans squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, Aditi Kinkabuela on the call. Spread favors Arizona. Arizona opening up as a 7.5-point favorite. And the series history between these two, it favors Arizona 8-4. And the Cardinals have won the last 3 meetings in a row. Last time they met was week 1 of the 2021 season. Arizona went into Tennessee and smashed the Titans 38-13. Last meeting in Arizona was 2017. Arizona winning that one 12-7. The last time that the Tennessee Titans won at the Arizona Cardinals, they were the Tennessee Oilers. 1997, at the old Sun Devil Stadium, the Tennessee Oilers went into Arizona and smashed the Cardinals 41-14. So 1997, the last time they won there. So, all right, MF, kicking off the late games here. Tennessee, Arizona, number 6 game of the week on our side of the ledger. Arizona, 7.5-point favorite. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and I kind of feel comfortable with that call. I kind of feel like Tennessee is just a mess. They're still trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out their situations, and I feel like Zona's probably a better team. Now, don't get it twisted. This is not going to be a master class or a domination, but I just feel like Arizona is just gonna put the right pieces together, and I got Arizona winning this game. So give me the Cardinals. Anthony, it's yours.
Agreed. I got Arizona winning as well. But let me get through this here. The Titans defense will do its best to keep Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray from breaking off long runs by design or circumstance. Defensive coordinator Denard Wilson said the pass rush has to be coordinated and disciplined to make sure the defense doesn't leave an escape lane for Kyler Murray to leak through. Wilson said he tries to get outside the pocket. They have some options with him. Things like that with the run pass option and all those things. So we got to keep him in a well. We got to contain him. Kyler Murray is trying to keep his head down and focus on the present with the state of the Cardinals offense, which struggled mightily in 7 of its last 8 quarters. Aside from the fourth quarter and a loss to Seattle last Thursday night, Arizona's offense struggled to move the ball and score in weeks 3 and 4. But Murray said it's hard, and the human in me wants to look at the totality of Arizona's issues. But focusing on today takes discipline, he said. I try not to look at the big picture because bleep gets you get frustrated looking at the big picture. Titans quarterback Cam Ward has been sacked an NFL high 17 times this season, while the Cardinals rank 5th in pass rush win rate this season at 47%. One of the highest FPIs of the week. I think this is the second highest FPI of the week. Arizona, 73% going with the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals to win this game as well. I'm going to go 28-14 Arizona over Tennessee. The other 405 game on CBS, this is a good one here. This is our number 3 game of the week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers squaring off against the Seattle Seahawks. Lumen Field in Seattle. And on the call for that one, it will be Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. Seattle opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Seattle leads the all-time series 9-6. Last meeting was 2022 in Munich, Germany. Tampa Bay winning 21-16. Last meeting in Seattle, 2019. Seattle won that 40-34 in overtime. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers' last win in Seattle was in 2009, 24-7. So let's get into our number 3 game of the week. The Bucs have surrendered touchdowns on the first defensive possession in 3 of their 4 games, but have only scored on the first offensive possession once. That is a big reason why they've had to come from behind in the final 2 minutes of their games, which have all been decided by 1 score or less. Quarterback Baker Mayfield said of this week's game, we've got to start faster, we've got to be the aggressor, not wait for whether it's chippy or we get hit in the mouth once. We got to come out swinging. Seahawks coach Mike McDonald said that by the Seahawks in-house metrics, Mayfield is probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now in terms of extended play situations. That's something you have to deal with, but he also plays on time. He's extremely accurate. He's got a great arm. And then when he extends plays, obviously he's a great competitor. Mayfield has the 8th fastest average time before throw at 2.68 seconds. The Bucks have scored and allowed an identical 97 points so far this season. They've scored 97 and have allowed 97. FPI gives a slight edge to Seattle, 54% going with Seattle. And I'm actually going to go with Seattle to win this game as well. I'm going to give you an unusual score here. 35-25. I'm going with Seattle to defeat Tampa Bay. So give me Seattle to win, but don't be surprised if Tampa steals this one. But the thing is, there's a young man on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who MF is very high on. His name is Bucky Irving, and unfortunately, Bucky Irving is not playing in this game. And I think that's what tilts this in favor of Seattle. So I'm going to go with Seattle to win, 35-25. So not much more to say, MF. Tampa Bay and Seattle are number 3 game of the week. And I know you've got to be gutted about that Bucky Irving injury because I know how high you are on that young man.
Yeah, no, that when I heard news that he was out, that definitely changed my pick. I am definitely now full Seattle on that one. With Kenneth Walker, I really feel like he's going to now have a breakout game. Give me Seattle to win this one and win this one pretty comfortably. So, yeah, really nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF. We move on now to the 425 games. That will be over on Fox. And we started off with a matchup featuring the Detroit Lions. They're going to be squaring off against the Cincinnati Bengals. Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, formerly Paul Brown Stadium. Kevin Kugler, Daryl Moose Johnston, and Allison Williams. They will have the call of that game. And Detroit, the biggest favorite of the week. Detroit is opening up as a 10.5 point favorite. 10.5 to spread in favor of the Detroit Lions here. And the series history with these two, it's all Cincinnati. Cincinnati leads the all-time series 10-3. And the Bengals have won 7 straight meetings. That's right, 7 straight meetings. The Bengals have beaten the Lions, including the last one, 2021 in Detroit. Cincinnati smashed them 34-11. Last meeting in Cincinnati was 2017. Cincinnati also won that one, 26-17. The Lions last beat the Bengals overall and in Cincinnati. You got to go all the way back to 1992 at the old Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Detroit won 1913. We're talking about the Barry Sanders days, friends. We really are. So, so yeah, 92, the last time Detroit won in Cincinnati. But MF, I do believe that it should be different this time around. Detroit, Cincinnati, 425 on Fox. Detroit, the biggest favorite of the week, 10.5.
Yeah. And the thing is, straight down in this game, I gotta say, straight up, it's all about it. It is all about Detroit here. Cincinnati is a shell of their team. When Joe Burrow went down with that injury, their season went kaplooey. And I gotta say, Detroit, for all the faults, for all the mistakes, they're right there. Detroit just has to play smart. They're gonna win this game. And I know they're going to win this game. I feel very confident. As a matter of fact, you said it. This is the biggest favorite of the week. If you have an eliminator on the NFL app or whatever, if you do your survival, this is the week you go with Detroit Lions. This is the lock of the week, a guaranteed win for me. 31-13 final score. The Detroit Lions knocks off the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is my lock of the week, Anthony. So it's yours.
I'm with you on that one, MF. But first, it will be an emotional homecoming for Lions running back David Montgomery as he plays in his hometown for the first time in his NFL career. He played the Bengals once in 2021 with the Bears in Chicago, 20 carries for 61 yards, but he has never had a road game against the Bengals. Montgomery attended Mount Healthy High School in Ohio, where he earned all-state honors as a dual-threat quarterback. He is coming off a season-low 12 rushing yards on 9 carries against Cleveland, but is looking to get back on track in a familiar setting in front of family and friends. Montgomery's high school coach, R.V. Crouch, simply said he's going to kill it. This game will be a gut check for the Cincinnati Bengals in every way possible. The Lions are expected to steamroller Cincinnati, which is in some of the worst form in franchise history. Detroit is second in the NFL in rate of designed rush plays, per ESPN research. The Bengals' rush defense will have to limit big plays, and stopping those will come down to deploying basic techniques, said defensive coordinator Al Golden. Just defend your gap, keep the ball on your inside pad, play with leverage. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase is seeking to avoid going 3 straight games with 50 or fewer receiving yards for only the second time in his career. Not only does Detroit have the biggest spread of the week, they also have the highest FPI of the week. 77% going with the Detroit Lions to win this game, and I'm going with the Detroit Lions to win this game as well. Also my lock of the week. 33-17, Detroit, all over Cincinnati. And we move on now to America's game of the week. And I can honestly say this game is actually worthy of being America's game of the week. Absolutely. Good one here. 4:25 on Fox. The Washington Commanders squaring off against the Los Angeles Chargers, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. America's game of the week. You know who's working it. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi, and Los Angeles, the Chargers, opening up as a 3-point favorite. The series history favors the Commanders 7-5, but the Chargers have won the last 2 meetings in a row. Last meeting, 2021 in Washington. I think that was also week 1 in 2021. Chargers went into Washington and won it 20-16. Last meeting in LA, 2017, Chargers won that one 30-13. Washington has not won at the Chargers since they were the Washington Redskins against the San Diego Chargers. For the second time tonight, we mentioned the year of 1986. That's the last time they did it. They went into the old Jack Murphy Stadium and beat them 30-27, the final there. So with that, let's get into excuse me. Let's get into a game that's actually worthy of being America's game of the week. Washington's defense continues to be plagued by explosive plays, having allowed an NFL worst 28 pass plays of 15 yards or more. It has been a combination of mistakes, communication, and players abandoning assignments trying to make a big play. They will have to guard Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, who ranks 11th with 20 pass plays of at least 15 yards. Of those plays, he has completed 7 with 3 touchdowns to wide receiver Quentin Johnston. Washington's defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. said, "If we clean up the explosive passes, we're playing solid. Right now, we're playing sloppy. We will clean it up." After a game where Herbert was hit 13 times and sacked twice, the Chargers could be without 2 starting offensive linemen again Sunday. Left tackle Joe Alt with an ankle is doubtful, and right guard Mekhi Becton with a concussion did not play last week. Herbert said of his message to backups, just go out there and execute and do what you've been trained to do. They're playmakers too. This will be a staunch matchup in the red zone. The Commanders have scored touchdowns on 7 of 9 such drives, 78%. Chargers have allowed touchdowns on 4 of 13 such drives at 31%. The FPI gives the edge to the Los Angeles Chargers, 58% going with the Los Angeles Chargers, and I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers to win this game as well. My final score, I'm going to go 27-21, the Chargers, over Washington in what should be a very good game, especially with Jaden Daniels back at quarterback for Washington. So, but I think the Chargers will get it done. 27-21, give me LA. MF, Washington and the Chargers, America's game of the week. Jaden Daniels back for Washington. Your thoughts?
Great game, great battle, exciting to say the very least. I'm with you. I'm with the Chargers on this one. If this was in Washington, I would go with the Commanders, but I feel like the Chargers should win this game, so nothing more to add. Anthony, it's yours.
You ready for our game of the week, MF?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Sunday Night Football on NBC. An AFC East matchup. Our game of the week. Buddy Bowl. Michael Bullock's New England Patriots. Well, not just Michael Bullock, but all of our dear friends in our group outing crew. Their New England Patriots squaring off against my Buffalo Bills. Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. Sunday Night Football on NBC, 8:20. You know who's working that as always. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark. Buffalo opening up as an 8-point favorite. Series history between these two. It is New England. Yes, New England leads the all-time series, regular season, 78-50 with a tie. However, Buffalo, well, actually, they split both meetings last year, but Buffalo has won the last 3 meetings in Buffalo, including a 24-21 win last December. New England's last win in Buffalo was 2021 on that windy Monday night when Damian Harris ran wild, of course. 14-10 the final there. But not much more to say. MF, it's not the first time we've seen Buffalo this season. Last time we saw Buffalo, the game many are calling the game of the year, that insane comeback against Baltimore that we witnessed, that we personally witnessed, and I'll never forget it. Buffalo, currently one of only 2 undefeated teams. Philadelphia, the other. Buffalo, you know what we know what they're capable of, but they're going up against the New England Patriots. Stumbled slowly, looked incredible against Carolina, easily their best game. Buffalo's going to be wearing those sweet new cold front rivalry uniforms. I can't wait to see those. But MF, Buffalo, going up against a team many thought was going to challenge them in the AFC East. New England, Buffalo, our game of the week. The Phil Simms to my Jim Nance, nothing more to say except do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, and this one's going to be a very interesting matchup. It kind of feels like if New England plays like they played against Carolina, they're going to get Buffalo fit. And there's a point where you start to think is that as good as Buffalo is there going to be a moment where they slip up? I mean, they almost slipped against New Orleans, and that really kind of gave a cause to pause because New England looked really good, like the best they've ever seen since maybe their Super Bowl winning era. And Buffalo, did they take the Saints lightly? That's the question I have to ask. Is that did they take the Saints lightly, thinking, you know what, we're the Bills, we're just gonna dominate, we're flying high, nobody's gonna stop us. And the thing is, Anthony, I know everybody says any given Sunday, and that was exactly what it was. The Saints played inspired football. They didn't want to get embarrassed. They played a good game. It's just Buffalo kind of was like, okay, wait a minute. No, we cannot let this happen. We cannot be humiliated like this. And they flipped the switch, and the next thing you know, Buffalo went off. But New England is a team that I think we can openly admit, offensively, a lot better than they were a year ago. Defensively, they've always been a sneaky good defense. And Josh Allen, you're gonna have to figure this out, because there's been some games where you have not had your best game. You know, you were good against Miami, but not great. You were good against New Orleans, but not great. You need to have a great game, because I will openly admit this. If New England keeps this game close, if they keep this close enough, we might have an upset and New England wins. It's very possible. But I think Buffalo is like, you know what? Division opponent. We know New England's gonna come guns blazing, because they're gonna want to stun the NFL, and they're gonna want to really put a rubber stamp on this moment, because for New England, this is their game where they're gonna act this like this is their Super Bowl. This is not gonna be anything more than that, because obviously with the way New England's been going, I don't know if they're going to be able to hang with Buffalo. If this turns into a track meet, they're not hanging with them. They're going to want to make this a low-scoring game, a tight game. I just don't think Buffalo is going to be – I don't think Buffalo is going to force that. And they're going to, when they get going, if they explode, they get their points in bunches. And I just don't think New England's going to be able to keep up. So for me, 35-17, Buffalo wins. I kind of feel like Buffalo is it's gonna be the similar game. First half, New England's gonna come out, play a little offense. They're gonna really force the issue. Buffalo will get their points, but New England's gonna force. It's gonna be in the second half is where I think Buffalo is like, okay, enough. We're dropping the hammer. And I do believe they will. 35-17. I got Buffalo winning. Anthony, it is yours.
Yeah. An unexpected injury issue popped up with one of the Patriots' best players as starting defensive tackle Milton Williams was added to the injury report Wednesday as a limited participant because of his ankle. Then Williams did not even practice on Thursday. He has played 72% of the defensive snaps through 4 games, has 2 sacks, and has consistently created interior pressure. If he does not play, that could thrust Khyiris Tonga into a starting role next to Christian Barmore. How will the Bills' rushing offense, which has been key to start the season, respond to the challenge the Patriots' defense presents? Bills running back James Cook has led Buffalo on the ground and has had 100-plus yards in 3 straight games. New England, however, is tied for second in opponent rushing yards a game at 77.5 and yards per rush at 3.3. Cook has such a really good understanding of what we're trying to do and how the guys are blocking and reading it, and he's really special right now. Those are the words of Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady. Bills quarterback Josh Allen has 45 career games with both a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown, tied with Cam Newton for the most by any player in NFL history. Another high FPI, it favors Buffalo. 68% going with the Buffalo Bills to win this game. And of course, as I always say, in the immortal words of Tito Santana at WrestleMania 1, as a Bills fan, I respect every opponent that my team plays against, regardless of who that is, regardless of personal feelings, whether I like the opponent or I don't. I have all the respect in the world for the New England Patriots and all of our dear friends, from Michael Bullock and the Keenans, all of our dear friends in our group outing crew. They're all Patriot fans, with the exception of MF and myself. But the only thing I can say to Bullock and all of them right now is simply this: may the best team win, and let's have a great game. That's all that matters to me. But 68% FPI for Buffalo, man. Of course, I'm gonna go with my team, the Buffalo Bills. Of course, it will not be easy. But I think New England will, or I should say Buffalo will pull this one out. I'm going to go 34-24. Buffalo defeats New England and continues their hot start so far. So I'm hopeful. I mean, they've been tested every game. The only easy game they've had was the Jets. But
Yeah.
of course, that insane comeback against Baltimore. They almost let Miami steal one. They almost let New Orleans steal one. So, and New England, with how scrappy they are, I mean, there's a good chance they could pull this. They could, but I got to go with my team. My team always finds a way. And you said it, MF. Second half. The second half is it's been the second half in those 3 home wins: Baltimore, Miami, and New Orleans. It was the second half. So they are a second half team. We all know this. So I think it's because of that Buffalo will pull this out. 34-24. Give me my Bills to win it. So with that, we move on to our final game of the night, Monday Night Football on ESPN, our number 4 game of the week. Good one here. The Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Jacksonville Jaguars. TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, Laura Rutledge. They will have it. Kansas City opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Series history, regular season-wise, favors Kansas City 9-6. But the Chiefs have dominated in this series, including playoffs. Kansas City has won 8 straight meetings against Jacksonville, including a 17-9 win in Jacksonville in their last meeting in 2023. The Jaguars have not beaten the Chiefs at home and overall since 2009, 24-21. So let's get into Kansas City and Jacksonville. The Chiefs know that Jaguars star Travis Etienne Jr. will be the best running back they've faced so far this season. And that list already includes Baltimore's Derrick Henry and Philadelphia's Saquon Barkley. Etienne has powered the Jaguars' offense with 394 rushing yards, 3rd most in the league. What stuck out to me watching film the last few days is how well he is on the edge, linebacker Leo Chanel said of Etienne. His stiff arm is good, but it's not just setting an edge. You have to have great eyes and continue to press the edge because he'll bounce it out, even if you've got a defensive end setting the edge 2 yards up the field. You better be ready to knock down a stiff arm. One of the things being stressed to the defensive players this week, don't get discouraged. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is an escape artist who can turn a bad play into a huge gain with an off-schedule throw from a weird arm angle. It's going to happen at least once, but the key is to forget about it immediately when it does. Jaguars coach Liam Cohen said, "We've just got to go and huddle up, call the next play, refocus, and understand that they've got good players too, and they're going to make some big plays." The Jaguars enter Week 5 leading the NFL in drops this season with 10 and are the only team with a double-digit drop total. The FPI, FPI likes Kansas City. FPI goes with Kansas City here. What's the FPI here? This thing is bouncing on me. 63%. 63% going with Kansas City. It's going to be a close game, but I think Kansas City will steal one in Jacksonville. Close game. I'm going to say 24-21. I give a slight edge to Kansas City, but don't be surprised if Jacksonville actually steals this one. Jacksonville coming off a big win of their own in San Francisco, stealing a win in San Francisco. So this team is the real deal. So if anybody has a chance to knock off the Chiefs, this team can do it. But after what I've seen over the last couple of weeks from KC, especially the Baltimore game, I got to go with Kansas City. 24-21, Kansas City wins. Nothing more to say. MF, just like in the last game we talked about, Jacksonville, the scrappy team, Kansas City, the big bad team. So They stumbled to an 0-2 start, losing to the Chargers in Brazil, losing at home to Philly in the Super Bowl rematch. But the last 2 weeks, they finally got their mojo back against the Giants, and then exploded against the Ravens. So after that slow start, MF, I asked the question: are the Chiefs back?
I think they are. I totally believe that they are fully back. I think they're more powerful than they were the first time around. And yes, I truly believe that they can win this game. I do believe that they will. I think Kansas City was one of those that we thought it was going to, we were waiting, eventually for them to turn it around. And I think they have. So give me Kansas City to win this, Anthony. Let's call it for a night.
Well, before we do, we're MF. You can head out if you want because Bullock has just finally come in here. So,
All right.
Yep. So Michael Bullock is here. So, MF, we'll see you tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. So, Bullock, we're let's run it down the slate for week number 5. First off, 49ers and Rams last night. Quick thought on that. 49er win. The team 4-1 despite all those injuries.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable that despite all these injuries, that this team is now 4-1. And yeah, I mean, with Mac Jones as the quarterback and a big game from Kendrick Bourne, but yeah, to go into the Rams' house with all those injuries and that they were able to pull this one out, I mean, that's a huge win for them. So whether that continues, we'll find out.
All right, and let's get into the games of week number 5. We start the bye weeks. The Atlanta Falcons, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers all on bye this week. Starting off with the first game, 9:30 a.m. on the NFL Network, the Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England.
Yeah, that's a tough one there because you want to talk about teams dealing with injuries. You got the Minnesota Vikings dealing with injuries too, especially with still no JJ McCarthy. So, but I think that they're somewhat they're the better team here. So I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings to win this game.
When it comes to our side of the ledger, this is our number 5 game of the week. The Houston Texans squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens. No Lamar Jackson for Baltimore.
Yeah, this is going to be something to keep an eye on. I mean, no Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens. Could this be? Yeah, I mean, this could be where Houston takes advantage of it, but I'm going to say slightly. I give it to the Baltimore Ravens here.
The Miami Dolphins squaring off against the Carolina Panthers.
What game are we talking about?
The Miami Dolphins and the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Miami Dolphins here. I mean, they finally got a breakthrough here. Well, they did last week, right?
Yeah, they beat the Jets.
Yeah, and I expect that momentum to continue against the Carolina. So, give me the Dolphins.
Despite the fact that Tyreek Hill is done for the season.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I just think they're still a better team than Carolina.
Agreed. The Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts.
What is it? Say that again?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you can't hear me. Las Vegas Raiders versus the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, I gotta roll with the Indianapolis Colts on this one.
Our Zonk game of the week, the New York Giants versus the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Giants here.
The Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Jets.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Dallas Cowboys here to beat the Jets.
Our number 2 game of the week, the Denver Broncos against the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
All I can say is fly, Eagles, fly on this one.
We get to the late games. The Tennessee Titans versus the Arizona Cardinals, our number 6 game of the week.
Say that again?
Sorry. Tennessee Titans, Arizona Cardinals.
Give me the Arizona Cardinals on this one.
Number 3 game of the week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I gotta roll with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on this one.
The Detroit Lions versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Detroit Lions on this one.
America's game of the week on Fox, the Washington Commanders versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Jaden Daniels is back at quarterback for the Commanders.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one here, especially now with Jaden Daniels being back. So I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders here, but I would not at all be surprised if the Chargers do pull this one out.
Our game of the week, the Buddy Bowl. Your New England Patriots versus my Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football with Buffalo in those cold front rivalry uniforms.
Yeah, oh boy, this is, like you said, this is one you and I always look forward to here. I mean, Look, as a fan, I want the Patriots to win, but professionally, I gotta go with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they are the better team, and I've seen those uniforms, Florio, and I think those look really good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, they do. And the final game, the one we just wrapped up here, Monday Night Football, number 4 game of the week, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday Night Football.
Oh, it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right. So with that will put the bow on this Week 5 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you again tomorrow night around that 10:30 threshold for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. TNA Impact, Friday Night SmackDown. That's how we're going to do it tomorrow. And then Tuesday night, we start a new week with Ridiculously Raw right back here on the Tone 25. Monday Night Raw, the NXT versus TNA Showdown special. And of course, our preview of Thursday Night Football for next week, the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. We'll get into that on Tuesday. Thursday, of course, we have the Week 7 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday, headlined by the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas, and so many other exciting games. And then next week, the Week 6 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We'll recap Eagles-Giants. Only 2 teams on bye next week. Those 2 teams are the Houston Texans and the Minnesota Vikings. You will not see them next week. Next week, we will see the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. The Los Angeles Rams against the Baltimore Ravens. Could Lamar Jackson be back? We'll see. The Arizona Cardinals against the Indianapolis Colts. The Seattle Seahawks against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Los Angeles Chargers against the Miami Dolphins. San Francisco 49ers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Should be a good one there. And then Sunday Night Football. The Detroit Lions against the Kansas City Chiefs. Ooh, is that going to be a good one? And then a Monday Night Football doubleheader. My Buffalo Bills against the Atlanta Falcons. And the Chicago Bears against the Washington Commanders. If it's anything like that game we saw last year, we're in for another wild one in Washington. So, as part of your Columbus Day weekend. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Brace Fan 95, this is Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock. And in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher. And, of course, always and forever, our First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw the Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday, and until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the Week 5 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.